As we just heard, the South Korean delegation held high-level consultations with the U.S., asking for exemptions from its reciprocal and item-specific tariff measures, and agreed on some areas. With such negotiations of vital concern to export-based South Korea, we invited Professor Hur Joon-young for in-depth talks on this. Professor Hur, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here.
Good morning. Now, Professor, so Seoul and Washington reportedly agreed to seek a package deal to be made by July. How did you see the outcome overall?
Yeah, as the first official consultation, this meeting was reportedly conducted in a friendly atmosphere. I think the meeting is remarked as the beginning of working-level discussions and additional high-level talks in the future. The Korean government requested U.S. reciprocal and item-specific tax exemptions related to the Trump tariff, especially on car exports. Additionally, the Korean government proposed ways to cooperate to enhancing Korea's energy security and rebuilding the U.S. shipbuilding industry.
All right, I see. Now, Professor, it seems both countries, as you have already pointed out, agreed on a framework of consultations through the meeting, with working-level meetings to follow soon. How do you expect the talks to unfold, and could South Korea's cooperation in the shipbuilding and energy sectors help Seoul to counter Trump's tariff scheme?
I think so. The U.S. and Korea can establish a stable framework for deepening cooperations by setting joint agendas in fields such as technology. The U.S. is in urgent need of support in the shipbuilding sector, as you mentioned, while Korea possesses the world's most advanced capacity in shipbuilding. Moving forward, if Korea and the U.S. expand cooperation in shipbuilding and other technology and industrial sectors, it could serve as a kind of channel to broaden discussion into other areas, leading to favorable negotiations. Additionally, options such as increasing import of U.S. energy, investment in the U.S., and joining Alaska's LNG project could also serve as potential cards in the discussions.
All right, Professor, one more question on consultation results. Now, amid a continued high exchange rate in the 1,400 Korean won range, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mo pointed out that Seoul and Washington agreed to hold separate discussions on exchange rate policy. What could be discussed?
Regarding exchange rate policy, unlike tariff, it appears that only general discussions were held, that the U.S. has yet to present any concrete policies. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mo also stated that the two countries agreed to discuss exchange rate policy separately between Korea's Ministry of Economics and Finance and the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and he mentioned that working-level consultation would take place soon. However, it is expected the U.S. will eventually propose measures to address the economic damage caused by a strong dollar and the burden of interest rate payment on U.S. Treasury bond. Discussions related to these issues are anticipated to follow.
All right. Now, Professor, Trump is reportedly considering slashing its steep tariffs on Chinese imports to de-escalate the trade war. And not just that, he is also mulling over exemptions for automakers from some tariffs as well. Now, how will that affect both the global and the Korean economy?
President Trump has made it clear that an agreement between China and the United States is necessary, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has also expressed the view that the stalemate with China caused by tariff is unsustainable and that the situation is expected to ease. The specific tariff rate could reference discussions held last year by the U.S. House Select Committees on the strategic competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. During those discussions, it was proposed that items related to U.S. strategic interest be subject to a minimum tariff of 100%, while items only related to national security be subject to a 35% tariff. However, regarding automobile tariff, Donald Trump recently stated that the current 25% tariff on import car and key component could be raised further not just going down, so adding significant uncertainty to the situation.
All right, significant uncertainties linger. Now, Professor, even if further negotiations between Washington and Seoul go smoothly, many say if the trade war between the U.S. and China drags on, it would inevitably affect Seoul's economy as well. Now, South Korean economy already posted negative growth in the first quarter. How do you see the impact to be, and how should Seoul be prepared for it?
Yeah, we know that Korea is export-oriented economy. The trade tension resulting from Trump's tariff pose a significant challenge. Not only is the direct imposition of tariff on Korean problematic, but the indirect impact on overseas production base is also substantial. As trade tensions have heightened recently, downside risks to growth have clearly increased. Foreign exchange market volatility has risen, and the direction of trade policy remains uncertain. In such circumstances, setting a baseline for economic growth forecast is I think it's meaningless. To improve this situation, it is crucial to successfully conclude tariff negotiations with the U.S. government. And in the medium to long term, the pace of diversifying supply chains must be accelerated.
All right, I see, Professor. Well, that is all for now. Thank you, Professor Hur, for your insights today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.